Shabbat Shalom. Boy, this year is flying by. I cannot believe it's already March. But more than that, I can't believe that we've already completed 2 books of our Torah. It feels like just yesterday that we were celebrating Simchat Torah, the moment where we finished the Torah reading cycle and then immediately commenced the reading again. I'm sure Tammy's thinking, how can we be here already? Wasn't Ryan just in Kaplan Nursery School? Let's think about what we have experienced so far in our Torah reading. The creation of the world, the initiative of Abraham and Sarah to begin to raise a family and a faith, the descent to Egypt, the exodus from our slavery, the amazing moments of revelation at Sinai, and over the past few weeks, the building of the Mishkan, the tabernacle. As I think about all of this, I'm struck by a paradox that is created. On one hand, we might feel distant from the stories of our people, those Sinai moments, the exodus of the past, the entrance into the promised land, since there are so many generations, thousands of years from the actual events. But we realize that here we are, recreating the moment of Sinai every week by standing at this ark, by taking the Torah out, by being together in community. We recreate the importance of family by celebrating Ryan and his family and community and his bar mitzvah. And all of us are here with our own stories, many of us standing on the shoulders of those who have come before us, who have experienced their own exodus, who have reached their own promised lands, who have created communities. And we are taking their experience and, like the subsequent generations in the Torah, we are adding our own voices. At the end of the Torah reading this morning, we all chanted, Chazak, Chazak, V'nit Chazek. This means strong, strong, and we will be strengthened. I asked in my weekly thought question in yesterday's email, why is the word Chazak repeated twice? At Kiddush, I'd love to hear if you have any thoughts on this. I believe that one answer is that when we say Chazak twice, we are doing it for the past and for the present. That it's about us and someone else. None of us are strong alone. But that's where the third word, V'nit Chazek, comes in. V'nit Chazek, and we will all be strengthened. It is clear to me that our community, whether New York City, our Jewish community, the Jewish people, the world, will only be strengthened when we work together. When we recognize that a rising tide lifts all ships. So the question is, how do we do that? I think that in the context of the book of Exodus, there are 2 ways. First of all, we need to know from where we came, and that will help us know where we are headed. And knowing that we have a community to do it with. So I'd like to share a few texts, a few of my favorite, as highlights from the book of Exodus, since we just completed the reading, that allows us to understand how we can be strong and we will continue to be strong, even if we don't always begin from a place of strength. There is one really obvious transition of how we became strong. We literally went from slavery to freedom in the book of Exodus, where we were no longer under the control of Pharaoh, but we were able to speak our own language, and even more important, we had our own calendar. We could dictate our own sense of time, not at the whim of somebody else. The next way that we progressed to an even stronger, more connected community was by understanding that we went from having doubts in God to faith in God. This is expressed in the contrast to the building of the golden calf to the building of the tabernacle. A huge shift in understanding of how faith plays a role. A third example is the role of women. Women in the book of Exodus were always strong, but the choices they had to make were so much better. Think about what the women had to do at the beginning of the book of Exodus. They had to put their children in baskets, send them off down the river, hoping that they would survive. Now, I'm not blaming the women for that choice, but the fact that the choice had to be made was tragic. But by the end of the book of Exodus, there they are, led by Miriam, dancing on the other side of the sea. They chose not to give their jewelry at the golden calf. And finally, they begin to be counted amongst our people. Lastly, we see a progression of strength as we installed our own leaders. No longer subject to Pharaoh's rule, we were able to create a leadership structure that worked. Investing Aaron as a priest was a step to the creation of a ritual and a religious practice that would enable us to worship God in an organized way. Now, none of these are comprehensive examples, but they are all kernels, have kernels in each of them, which reminds us what a strong community needs. It needs to have self-determination. It needs to have faith. It needs to have people who have good options in front of them. It needs to have leadership of its choosing. We are all parts of many communities. Here is my hope for us this Shabbat, and in the month of Adar, where we will celebrate Purim, a holiday that is about a Jewish community, one that needed to remain strong amidst adversity, a holiday where a woman found her voice despite her fear, a holiday where the Jewish people survived despite threat of annihilation. My hope is that we know who we are, that we understand our Jewish history, that we know that there will be times and that there are times, and this feels like a time, where we as a Jewish community are being put down on all sides, that there will be people who are coming out against us. But like the Israelites in the Bible and the Jews of our community, when we know our past, when we appreciate our present, we know that we will build a better, stronger, more united future where we can say, Chazak, Chazak, V'nit Chazak. Shabbat Shalom.